Hey guys, I'm Tim.
And I'm Bob.
And I'm Dan.
And this is the Board Game Rundown. Today we are going to review Earth. This is Inside Up Games. This plays 1 to 5 players. I don't know, what, hour and a half playtime?
Yeah. It says 45 to 90.
Pretty accurate.
Yeah, it's going to be player dependent. That's fine. That's
Yeah.
a fine
There
estimate.
could be a little bit of AP, but not bad.
Yeah, surprisingly not near as bad as it could have been. So in Earth, you are basically, this is an engine builder,
Yep.
right?
Tableau.
A tableau builder.
Yeah. Yep.
And you've got 4 actions at the top of your player board. You're going to pick one. The player who is the active player, right, gets the better version of that action. Then everybody else takes the weaker version of that action.
Sounds familiar.
And then you might have cards in your tableau that have that color as well, which then will give you additional actions which you can do, which then, as was taught to me, that'll be my disclaimer.
His caveat, yeah.
That was, as was taught to me, you activate those actions column by column. You start at the left, you work your way down.
Top down, left to right.
Yeah. So anyways, I mean, that's really it. There's a lot in here, like a lot of different things, you know.
But that's the main crux of it.
But that's really the short and sweet version. There's a lot of iconography. It's pretty language independent, honestly. I guess there's a few things that you'll need to know.
Sure, but they do have, it's hard to see, like they have little arrows, right? So
Yeah,
you
that
have
is true.
5 points per tree diagonally, and there's little arrows pointing.
Oh, there are arrows pointing diagonally.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
They're small, but they're there.
They are
You're
there.
going to be collecting soil, playing cards, drawing cards, and creating sprouts. Those are the main things you're going to be doing. There's some other
Composting.
stuff.
The game ends when somebody fills their 4 by
4 by 4 grid.
grid all the way up. One player does that, then you
Triggers
finish
the
out
end.
the round,
Yep.
right? Everybody gets the same amount of actions. There's also a shared goals.
Yeah, there's 2 sides of that board. Like we played on the beginning board, so like as long as you reach the goal, you got the 10 points. On the other side, it's more of a competitive side where like first person to do it gets a lot more points, and the points scale down thereafter.
Right. Either version would be fine. Like, you know, we played this version.
Yeah, I mean, the version would have been fine. I probably would have beat Bob if we played on the other side, but
15 points wouldn't have helped you.
it's actually pretty
It
darn
actually
close.
would have.
Yeah, it would have.
Because depending on where you came in on some of those other
Sure.
goals.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I was actually doing much better on that board than I thought I would.
Yeah, 2 of mine didn't even get on.
So didn't matter.
Didn't matter.
But anyways, that's very much the short and sweet version of how to play, right? Or, you know, what you're doing in this game, not even really how to play. But let's talk about components. Okay, so this is a retail version.
Yep. So let it be known, I did not kickstart this game and buy the deluxe copy.
Right. Well,
Weird.
you wanted to, and
I
there was
forgot
some
about it.
legal stuff. Yeah, okay. I just wanted to make something up.
You forgot about it. But but I will say also, Bob says that, but he is also like, oh, I need to get the playmats for this.
When I was taught, they had the playmats, and it's nice. It's nice to have a little playmat there because you get the 4 by 4 grid, and it does help you plot that out nicer.
I assume those are just extra cubes.
Those are just extra cubes.
I figured that was just extra cubes.
I was like, what are those? We never used those.
Yeah, there was literally like 1 sheet of punch board.
We
and
did
like,
almost
there was a
run
little
out.
strip that just had those on it.
Oh,
So they probably was
sure.
like, we have some room. Put some extra cubes on
We
there.
did
in case they
almost
run
run out of cubes.
No,
So-
there was still a whole bag.
Never mind. Didn't know that. Didn't know there was a bag over there.
Almost
Yeah, I only
ran
poured out
of
a few. of them.
We almost ran out of the cubes that were on the table.
We did. I almost had to dump more out. Now, when we played 5 players, we
right.
did run out of cubes.
Right. Oh,
sure.
And we did have to resort to those.
This is a mixed bag for me,
Component-wise?
component-wise.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, so this stacking thing is, like, cool, and it's, like, literally growing,
Yep.
right? Like, the plants and stuff are growing, but they're really loose, and so, like, I knocked one over twice. Now, luckily, it wasn't while we were playing because I was overly careful. But, I mean, if you have a clumsy friend, this stuff can get knocked over pretty easily because, again, it's very loose in there. They don't, like, snap or anything, which I can see
Right.
why they didn't do because then we'll complain about that, right? Oh, they're too difficult to get apart, right? So, like, lesser of two evils, right? But, like, they are very loose. And so I can see that being a slight issue. These cards are not linen. So, you know, some people prefer that linen card finish. Some people prefer that plastic card finish. I'm just saying.
I would not sleeve this. There are so many. Your
Yeah.
sleeve deck would be like this big.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's rough because there is, you know, there
A
is
million
shuffling.
There's a ton of them.
They
But
seem like good quality, though.
they seem
They're not-
okay.
yeah, they're not-
I'd be interested in seeing how the art lasts over a long time on cards like this. So we'll see. Yeah, all the chits I just never even mentioned.
They're basic.
They're
chits.
fine. They're chits.
Yeah. Now, if you do find yourself a deluxe copy, you do get like the little, instead of getting the little piles of dirt that it shows on here, you get actually little black wooden pieces that are piles of dirt. You you get fancy leaves instead of just the cardboard punch out leaves, and then it does come with the little trays that hold everything, which are kind of nice.
Oh, sure.
Gotcha.
But, yeah, and then the mats.
Iconography insanely strong in this.
Yeah. I think for me, the only thing that really kind of bothered me about this is some of the muted colors.
Yes.
Seems weird.
And the colors on the cards don't match the colors on here for me.
That is interesting. I
mean,
the red doesn't match the background at all, which
No,
is a weird
right.
choice.
Right.
But it does match this. So I guess they just didn't want these to look the exact same. But like this.
Is the set.
These look like this looks the exact same.
yeah.
to me.
Right.
This
Yeah.
is slightly different. I guess I don't know. It was just weird that red
Yeah.
is so different.
And then the green one is slightly darker. Yeah, it was really weird.
Yeah,
I don't
there's
know.
green and brown, which is not a thing, but there's, I mean, not one of your options here, but there's brown types of cards.
And maybe that was an intentional choice, like but like the box is so vibrant, right? With all of these all these colors and contrast and everything, the box is so vibrant. And then you have these muted player boards.
See, so that's interesting. The green screen is exiting out the blue, not the green.
Yeah.
That tells you about the green.
Yeah, that's an interesting color issue. I do love the art. This is a thing where this is like screen caps, and it looks very nice.
Yeah, like all photographs
Yep,
of
these are
like
nature photos.
Yes. Yes.
There's some nice wintry pictures in there.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, which instantly 15 out of 10.
I mean, other than that, I think the components are fine.
Yep. No insert, right?
No, it had a cardboard little folded well that I.
Right.
Yeah.
Should.
Yeah, as you should.
And I will mention, I don't know if Tim just did it while I was talking, but we just did recently a box art, our favorite box art kind of thing. And I don't think it was on my list, but this was definitely...
It was on my list.
Yeah, it was definitely on some people's list, including on some honorable mentions. This box is fantastic. Just for eye-grabbing, man. This is... So, like, not only does the scenic thing look fantastic, right? But I love what they did with the logo here, with the SpaceX, like, circle thing almost going across. It looks very nice. But anyway, that's it for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that I've got a lot to add. They definitely... I think I was actually disappointed with the components, like just with the way that it looked. Like I'm looking at this box cover,
Sure,
and then I get these muted colors. As we play the game, it's all very functional, right? Like so, that's not a problem. And so, if Euro gamers, right? Beige and tan, you're fine. This is almost beige and tan.
Yeah.
Some of these colors are so muted, but I expected more like vibrancy with the color.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
stuff.
nature colors tend to be very muted and very not tan, but you know what I'm saying. Like they
Earth
tend
tone?
to earth tone. Right, exactly. Like nature colors tend to be very like that. This does almost look like a pastel version though. Like it is kind of getting into that territory. It's fine to me. It is I agree that it's a weird choice, but whatever.
yeah.
Don't care.
When I looked this up for the Kickstarter and I saw like these little, I don't know, I just kind of was like, man, that doesn't look very interesting. But then I played it last weekend. I was like, I enjoy this more than other Tableau engine building games. So I ended up picking it up, which is why I didn't get the deluxe.
These
version.
are called growth, right?
Yes.
Okay. I was just wondering because it's interesting. I was going to say it's interesting that the sprouts aren't the thing that's sprouting, right? But, I mean, they're called growth, so who cares? That makes sense, too.
Yeah, well, it's if you look at it, the icon is supposed to be like rings of a tree.
Right.
So it's like that's what growing the rings of the tree. So, yes, and they grow up, and your top one's a cap, and if you manage to cap it off, you get the extra points for it.
Yep. Cool.
All right, let's go into final thoughts. Dan,
Me.
what's your final thoughts on this game called Earth?
I don't know. There's a lot to kind of unpack here. I know this is a very popular game right now. People are talking about this game a lot. It is all over BGG hotness. It is getting very highly rated. And so it's kind of like I really want to unpack this and get deep into it, but I don't feel like I personally can. I kind of hope you guys can because this was fine. You know, like
I think you just unpacked it.
right.
I mean, for you, that
I enjoyed it. I would play it again for sure. I like tableau building. I like spatial stuff. So trying to line up these abilities, like having a card that says like all adjacent trees do X and stuff. Right. I tend to like that spatial type stuff. So like that was very fun, and the game does flow really well. I take the action, you guys get the weaker version, then Tim takes an action, and we get the weaker version. It's something we've seen a million times. Race for the Galaxy, very famous for that kind of stuff. Twilight Imperium has it. It's all over the place. Puerto Rico, right, does that kind of thing. It's a fantastic mechanism. It's really good, and it's good here, And the fact that you can then kind of buff your things, right? Like you can go all in on red over here, and so whenever someone takes the red action, you explode. You have so much you can do. Green seems to be very rare. I only found some green ones towards the very end.
I never saw one of the green.
Right. Well, probably
bonuses.
because that pushes the end game. So you don't want to be.
Right.
I had 2 cards that do a little like half green action.
I gotcha.
So it was very rare, right, to
very
get
rare.
that. But like trying to build up your engine here and get things to proc together, and like I get points for every flower that's in this row and tree that's in this column, and trying to get things to benefit that. That stuff's all fantastic. But that's also what a tableau builder should be. We're not breaking new ground here. If you're gonna be doing a game where you're building a tableau, that stuff needs to be in it.
Sure.
So I don't know. Is this game doing anything that I think is like, oh wow, I've been waiting for a game to do that?
Yes.
Yeah, the stacking thing is. I don't know if I'd call stacking unique. Right? It's cool how it fits in thematically. Right? That's very cool, and I liked doing it. And I finished every single one I had. Right? Like I really wanted to get that. Meanwhile, Bob at the end of the game during points had none left,
0,
because he turned them all in. So it was really funny to see the difference there.
Right.
I did have a huge stack of compost though.
Right, and that's that whole compost strategy. And
that won you the game. Oh,
It did.
I mean, yeah.
Mostly.
it helped a lot.
Definitely
for
helped.
Sure. I mean, him getting all the 10-leaf cards was nice too.
Well, those were terrain cards, so that's why I couldn't build any. Because a lot of mine didn't have growths.
Gotcha.
Because the terrain cards don't have those.
So yeah. At the end of the day, this is an engine building tableau builder, and it's a good one. Does it deserve 8 million accolades? We'll see the longevity of this game, right? This game's exploding right now. Kind of like how when Wingspan first came out, it exploded. Sure. Wingspan is still highly regarded. So we'll see if this one stands the test of time. Overall, I enjoyed it. I want to see more of the other side of this board. Different these, right? I assume these are randomized
Yes,
every
there's
game.
a whole bunch of
It
them.
was
They're
set up
double-sided.
when we sat down. It was set up. So more of those. Other side of the board. Different strategies over here. Seeing there's a whole deck of cards we didn't put in that changes how a whole system in the game works. Like there's a lot here to unpack that I haven't done yet. But what I played, I was like, okay, I wanted it to be good. It was good. Right, so that is absolutely fine with me.
Yep.
I'll draw the line there.
All right. Yeah, it doesn't overstay its welcome.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh, if anything, it feels too fast, which I don't hate.
Sure.
So,
And when you add, we played with 5 players, and it still took us less than 2 hours for a learning.
Sure.
For everybody was learning. Even the guy learning it out of the book, he was familiar with what was going on, but he hadn't played it yet because he had just opened up his copy.
it very much has that mechanic too, where players choose when the game ends.
Yes.
So
pretty much.
so that can
Right, there's not
if
a
you guys are
set
running short on
end.
time, just plant a bunch.
Yeah, keep planting, guys.
Yeah. So anyway.
But no, I did enjoy it. Like I said, I enjoyed it more than some other Tableau engine builders that I've gotten to play. I like how Dan was saying you're trying to work this spatial puzzle to make sure, like, okay, so this one gets points for mushrooms on the corners, this one gets points for flowers in the row, this one gets stuff for stuff in the column. But then you also have to be aware that as you activate your abilities, it has to be in the rows and columns too. So I wanted to make sure I get my card drawing stuff early, so when I go to compost for my hand, I've got extra cards to discard to get rid of. So you want to keep all that kind of stuff in line. And then like some of these have so many things for sprouting, so you can keep doing the one action to water, keep getting sprouts, and just put a ton of cubes out there. So there's a lot of ways, I don't want to say point salad, but it's like there are a lot of ways to gain points. And it does a good job at the bottom of the player board telling you, well, one, what all the icons mean. So when you see an icon, what is it supposed to mean? And then it also tells you what you're going to score points at the end of the game. Because a lot of times when you're trying to teach somebody a game, throwing all that end scoring stuff at the beginning of the game, they're like, okay, well, I'm just trying to figure out how to play, not necessarily how to score the points yet. But then at their leisure, they kind of like, oh, okay, I'm going to get points for all these. Ooh, I'm going to get points for all the ones in this because that icon matches this icon. And it really does help to ease people into the final scoring types of stuff So it's not just either sprung on them or thrown at them with everything else, and they forget, like, well, I didn't know I was going to get points for that. Well, it's written right here.
Yeah.
I did tell you.
Jumping on that really quick, something that I wanted to say for newer players in the game is I assumed something going into this game because of how some other games that kind of do this play, and I quickly changed it. It's not like I played the whole game and I was like, oh, I misunderstood. The game makes it obvious that that's the case, but I kind of got like a terrain card early on that was like 2 points for every this kind of thing in your thing, and I was like, okay, cool, I have a strategy, right? And I kind of was focusing on that. I was getting those cards, and I quickly realized, and then I said, Bob, what's the average score in this game? And Bob was like, oh, we got like in the 190s last time, and I was like, okay, this strategy I'm working on is going to give me like 25 points. So don't see a terrain card that you think is going to give you a bunch of points and think that that's your game-winning strategy. Like Bob had a bunch of terrain cards. Like, that is just one tiny tool in your arsenal. And I think that if you come from a lot of tableau builders where you see this card and you're like, oh, this is my strategy kind of thing going into it, that's not exactly the case here. You have to build a bunch of different
little strategies.
mechanisms that all feed into each other. Yeah, so I just wanted to mention that.
Yep.
Yeah, no, totally fair.
And yeah, it's like Julia, when we played down there, she had, I think it was like the sequoias or something like that.
Okay.
So she could build them, like 15 high or something. So she had like 3 stacks of growths, because like I was wondering, I'm like, what are you doing over there? She's like, oh, they're the sequoias. I was like, oh, that makes sense. But they do have a tendency to fall over a little easily, which is a little bit of a pain in the butt. But most of them are only, I would say, 1 to 4.
Yeah.
So you're not really building all of them super high unless you do
Right.
get those trees. But a lot of the mushrooms are all super small.
Right. Yeah.
But no, like the events are cool. So they're like one-time effects that you can play anytime. Some of them are like worth negative points, but they will give you like a good effect. They give you more like resources and whatnot. And there are a lot of cards in there that'll give you points for doing other random stuff. Like I had a point that was our card that gave me points for all I left over soil, and that's normally not a scoring condition. So I was like, cool, give me all the cards I can get to allow me to just make more soil. So try to get more points from that from the end. So I think there's a lot of variety, a lot of like options and whatnot. Like all your setups, there's a ton of these cards. They're all double-sided, and everybody gets one of these and like a climate card and an island card.
Right.
So there's
and picks which side it starts
and
on,
pick what
right.
side you want to start on. So yeah, there is a ton, and with all these cards, a ton of replayability.
And in the advanced one, you get more cards to choose from.
Correct.
Too.
Yeah, if you
So,
play
like,
the advanced setup, you get
that's
more options.
really
Sure.
cool. But having that starting setup again, that's kind of like where's my strategy going to come from? Is kind of those, and then
Yeah.
you can have unrelated strategies, of course, right? But like really seeing those, so like I had one that made all my sun cards cheaper, and then in one of my first hands, I had an environmental card that gave me points for all my sun cards, and I was like, right. I need lots of sun cards.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. And you can do a lot, because like one of the cards I got the first time I played was, whoever has the most sun cards in their spot gain points for those cards.
Well, and you said that while I had all these sun cards, and I was like, I kind of hope that card comes up.
Yeah.
I don't know where that is. It one of these you're saying?
It was a terrain card. Like I had
it was
the
a
terrain,
terrain
cards.
card.
Yeah,
Cool. So I could
it
have
was the
gotten
desert
it.
terrain
Okay.
card. Yeah, and that's another thing too. It offers you the option in the back. It says for more advanced play, when you plant something, you can technically plant it face down and then reveal it when you want. So if you don't want people to know you played that card, that's going to give you points for playing. You're like, yeah, keep playing those suns. Don't worry about my face down card over here.
Which I did do once throughout the game, even though we weren't really playing any of the other advanced stuff, just because I thought it was cool. And Bob went, oh. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it comes with a little scoring pad to help you score everything up. But I mean, you can also just go through your little thing with your phone and add totals. Okay, and that's because it's pretty straightforward. It breaks it down for you.
Yeah, that's the highest praise I can give this game is that it is really straightforward. You know, it does not overstay its welcome. With a learning game, 3 of us playing, like it felt really fast.
Yeah, you're taking the turns are.
There's not a lot of downtime. So the game really moves along. I think my only complaint really is that the hype train came rolling through.
Sure.
It made this thing really huge. And to me, it doesn't do any. I don't know anything different that it does. I just maybe like this package better than some of the others.
But like Dan said, it's not really breaking a new ground.
Not at all.
Yeah, it's very what you would expect from a tableau.
I've
builder.
also very luckily been totally out of this hype train thing. I understand a lot of people have been talking about it, and I've seen it in the BGG hotness, but I didn't even know it was an engine builder right until like we sat down today. I knew nothing about this game.
So when I kept seeing like pictures and pictures and pictures, I try to stay like kind of like don't
take a breath.
Yeah,
okay.
like don't like get all into it and like start reading about. Like I like to just
experience it.
Get in there and just kind of experience it. You know, and and feel it out. It was one thing if you're like on Kickstarter and you're like, ooh, do I want to back this? I need to dig in. I need to watch the videos and everything. But once
I need to take out a loan.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But I mean, so like to me, the only thing this game does different than like a Wingspan is that you grow. Like you have this extra way to gain points right here.
That and the composting.
And composting.
The 4x4 spatial thing is honestly the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, because you kind of choose. But I mean, Wingspan, you do it a little bit where they've got like the building.
They activate in certain order, yeah.
Sure.
But like, just again, and this just because the cards I took, right? But having cards that directly talked about all the cards in certain positions.
Correct.
I took those because I like that kind of stuff in games. So, so that is a biased thing, I guess, from my playthrough.
No, and like I other than like some of the colors, like I don't have anything negative to say about this game.
Yeah.
I just don't think it like blew my mind like I expected.
Shoving people out of the way, trying to get a copy, you know.
Yeah, no, this is a really good game and a really solid game. It wasn't like well, I kind of felt the same way about Arc Nova, right? When Arc Nova came out last year and everybody's losing their minds over Arc Nova. Yeah, and I'm like, that's fine.
It's good.
It's good. You know, like I'll play it again.
Sure.
You know, and kind of like Dan said, I'd definitely play this again. It does not overstay its welcome. You could play this game on a game night with Teach, with 5 people, and still get to play something else.
Yes.
You know, it's not like a Wonderlands War where it's just going to suck up the whole evening playing, even if everybody's played before.
Don't appreciate your dig, sir.
I was aimed at Mike, but you can take that too.
Yeah.
But this was this was fun. I had a good time playing it. Cool. I felt like, I mean, I was worried when we were doing up the scores, and it's like
you thought I was gonna run away with it.
Yeah, but it was actually all pretty competitive.
That is very impressive. I thought Bob was kind of gonna run away with it. Like I didn't think we were gonna be left in the dust, but I was like, okay, Bob.
I thought we were gonna be left in the dust.
Bob definitely won. Like that's kind of like where I was going. But it was insanely close, and not only was it close. Bob and I basically had the opposite strategy. Our boards and everything was opposite. And Tim, I didn't really pay attention to your strategy, but I keep looking over and it's like,
oh, you had a strategy?
A lot. Yeah. No, like a lot of your stuff kind of looked like my stuff. Like you had all the same things I had over here. You had things like so I wasn't really comparing.
I had like a hodgepodge of some things because like I drew some cards later that I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna try this, and I don't feel like it was that punishing to change.
Strategies kind of midway,
right? Like okay,
again, I think the game kind of pushes you to it because the game's like I understand you're working on that sun strategy, but you're only going to get 30 points from that, so maybe play something else. Like,
here's a mushroom, try that.
You know, so. Yeah, I thought, you know, I was worried a lot about growth, and I had so much growth from all the cards I was taking that it's like, oh, I don't don't even need all this.
Well, like, now you can start spending them for card effects though too. So
I didn't really have stuff like that in my engine for it. I had like one card that let me do it, and but I did it a few times because I'd spend that growth and then gain it back later on,
right?
Like down the way, kind of like Bob's was saying, you know, setting up like drawing cards heavy and then composting at the end. So all of that is really interesting and really fun. Definitely play this again. It didn't like blow me out of my shoes or anything like that, but a really good game. And I think the box is way prettier than what you get
inside
with their player board.
Yeah.
But I do like the cards. Iconography is amazing.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Super intuitive.
It makes the teach super easy.
Yep.
And then once we get going, there was probably like 2 or 3 times total for the rest of the game. And I'm like, so this means this, right? And that might have been in the first 2 turns.
Yeah.
And then by that, it's pretty much, I just understood how everything worked. And then you're just setting up your own thing and you're just going.
Yep. Yeah, not a ton of player interaction.
Yes, which is usually a negative for me. In Tableau builders, they usually don't have it. So I was expecting.
And I don't know that you want anybody, it's
Earth.
that fun if they come over and then just wreck your Tableau also. Right?
Yeah, sure, yeah. Something that is a slight counter to that is just something that I've talked about recently again, but things that that you play that helps you and helps other players.
Oh, sure. So if I give you these 2 victory points and then I just take this card and put it over here, that makes it good?
Well, it would make it better, but...
Oh, I hate that.
Sure.
Foundations of Rome.
I'm just saying, if it's like, I'm going to play this card and it helps me a lot, but to do it, I have to choose a player to get X or something, right? That instantly puts player interaction in the game, but it's positive player interaction.
Right, like, gain 5 growth. Like, Rainstorm, you gain 5 growth.
Yeah, and then you can look around and be like, okay, well, Bob does doesn't care about his growth. So I'll give Bob growth. He's just going to discard it anyway, right? So that is starting to be in games more where they're trying to put player interaction in games that wouldn't usually have it, but they're making it like weak positive player interaction just so that everything feels good. You know, it's like what Space Base did, right? Where it's like, on my turn, I do X, but I'm giving all of you guys something too. It's usually not as good as what I get, blah, 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 right? But anyway, so yeah, something like that could go into here. What I was going to say, which is pointless, but just give it a couple months, there's going to be some beautiful Etsy player boards for this game.
Oh, sure.
So all these muted colors are going to go bye-bye.
Oh, wait, the back of yours looks way better than the back of mine did.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. There's like solo stuff, I believe, on the back side.
I'll just play on this side.
Yeah, I'd rather play on that side. It looks way better.
Yeah, that's why I was since I didn't get the deluxe, I was planning on Etsifying, maybe getting like some cool like leaves or have somebody 3D print some.
Yep.
You know, things like that.
But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where I'm at. Why don't we give this our final ratings? Daniel.
So, guys, we at Board Game Rundown are going to give this game a 1 out of 10. We're going to choose to use 0.5s because, well, variety is the spice of life. Then at the end, we're going to average them all together so that there's just one score that you guys have to pay attention to. Now, some of you might agree with others more, which is why we give individual scores. But at the end, there's just one score if you just want to know what Board Game Rundown gave it, which is important for stuff like BGG and stuff like that. Back to you, Tim.
Oh, cool. Well, I'm going to throw it right back in your face. What's your number, sir?
So I'm gonna give it a score, and then I'm going to explain something for people that are like subscribers that have been around for a while.
Yeah, so Dan's giving it a 5.
No, I'm gonna give it a 7. Right? This is my lowest score that I can give something that I would say I would still recommend the game. But the thing is here, I think I need to lower that because I would recommend most games. And I don't think that most games are in the top 30 percentile of games.
Well, you wouldn't give most games you've chosen to play, you would give that. Because there's a lot of games
of
you're
course.
like, no,
there
I'm
are
not
games
gonna
that I
play
literally just won't, or like, you know, I sat out of the Cat in the Box review because I was just like, I literally don't even want to talk about this game kind of thing, right? So yes, that's true. But I'm just saying, in the future, a recommend might drop to like a 6 or something. Because again, I mean, you think about it, an average game, which means the game is fine, is a 5. Right? If a game is a 6 out of 10, it is an above average game. Like, especially if you start getting to like 6.5, this is a well above average game.
Average is 70%. It's a C, right? It's average.
If you're going school grading, sure. Yeah, where there's only 4 letters in the alphabet. That's average.
Yeah, so I went to school.
But I'm just saying, for people that have been around for a while, if you're new, this doesn't mean anything to you. But my scores might slowly just lower like 0.5s in the future because I do think that, like, I want to give this game a 6.5, like in my head, but I'm like, but I would recommend people play this game. It is a good tableau builder. So I'm going to up it up to a 7. And then I'm like, I think that's too high for my recommendation. So this is just like, this is like a side, like intervention.
It's
like,
a 7.
Yeah. So
Tim
Tim gives too many 10s. I give too many 7s.
Listen,
so I want to lower
all
that
those
slightly.
10s only exist on 8-year-old BGG ratings. That
Updated.
I have gone and updated.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to fall on a 7 for now.
Bobby,
All right.
do you need half an hour to explain why you're
I
gonna
will give you
it
my
your
dissertation
score?
as to why my score is what it is. I do give this score out quite a bit, but if it's a game that I think I want to keep in my collection, that I feel like that I would be like, yeah, we should play this game tonight, I give it at least an 8. And so this is an 8 for me because I believe I would choose to play this tableau builder at some point in time again over other tableau builders. And like I said, I don't mind the components, and like I don't know what it is, but I've done really well the couple of times I've played this game, so it just kind of like
Being really
You're
good at
clicked
a
with
game.
me.
You're
makes
good.
it
You're
fun.
good at these kind of
Makes it more
games, though,
fun.
too.
And so yeah, I would give it an 8. And they say if you enjoy like tableau building and you want to like this theme, then I'd definitely check it out.
Yeah, so like for me, just totally disregarding the hype train, right, and going off my own experience and everything.
Tim, you mean we
is-
don't just watch everybody else and repeat what they say?
Weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah,
Why,
it's
you know, regurgitate what other reviewers have said.
Yeah.
No, this is a very solid game for me that I don't feel like I need to run out and get. So for me, that usually is like a 7 or a 7.5, just to kind of go into like what Dan's ratings are. But I do lean more towards a 7.5 because I did have fun. And I think this does improve on some of the other tableau builders that are just as popular, if not more. But I did enjoy this. I did have a good time playing this. I just think that I was a little let down by some of the components.
The weird color thing.
Yeah, you know, like
we resorted to
aesthetically-
1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s to figure out which one we were gonna do. 'cause
Right. So aesthetically, it wasn't as pleasing as I had hoped, but the engine building was
yeah, I
satisfying.
really
the player
enjoy
turns were really cool. The,
activating.
yeah, and all of that is really well done. So
So if we take all of our scores and you average them together, boop, 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 apparently Tim was right. 7.5.
thank you.
I think
Thank
he did it
you.
on purpose.
Well, yeah, he went last. He
So
knew
you're
what
like-
we gave
Do
it.
a whole video just on how I was right.
Oh my God.
Bob is gonna regret saying that for the rest of the day.
I will.
No, this was really solid. A lot of fun. We all had a good time playing it.
Yep.
Mileage may vary a little bit, but I think overall this is a really good game. You know, and if you are looking for like a starter tableau builder in your collection, this would be a good one. I would get this over Wingspan. This,
I would.
And there's the hate comments. We held off until the very end. Now everyone shows up. What do you mean?
I will say this rulebook is too big. It's a square.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's too big.
I like it.
Flat Earth.
Yeah, but it can really show off the art, though.
Should be our circular.
But they don't. And it's not bad. I was taught, so I didn't have to go in here too much. I did it for this setup and whatnot, and it was fine.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, good to know.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, it was fine. It was fine. Pretty good. I had a good time.
Yeah.
But all right, guys. Anything else before we sign off?
Negatory.
Nope.
All right. For the board game rundown, I've been Tim.
Bob.
Dan.
This was Earth. We'll see you next time.